What is up, guys? Welcome to the New to the Game podcast. This is Ben Schneider, alongside with Mr. Chris Olson. Today, we are going to be diving into how to get 10 paying clients in the first 2 weeks of your business, or in 2 weeks at any point, for absolutely free. Chris and I have both been down the rabbit hole of finding ourselves in situations, especially when we first started our companies, but also just in situations as a company where, for whatever reason, maybe your cash flow is tight or maybe your lead flow is down, and you need to be able to find some opportunities and create some business. You just have available time to do something and you want to dedicate those efforts towards something. But also in those cash flow seasons, you have absolutely no money to be able to operate with. So you have to literally scrape and crawl to find something. These are some of the tried and true methods that we've applied to be able to make that happen. So, what we're going to review and what you can expect by the end of this podcast is an actual surefire way that you are going to be able to get 10 clients. This is not just like a hype, good, catchy headline. Like this will actually get you 10 clients, if not more. And honestly, on top of that, these are going to be methods that will continue to generate revenue for you. Some of these methods are not just about getting single buying clients. Some of these methods are going to be able to get you recurring clients that give you much greater lifetime value out of these opportunities. So we're going to dive into that and just give you guys, again, a good deep dive into some of these really, really simple ways of getting business without having to spend a crazy amount of money. Again, most of these are going to be free efforts, almost completely free efforts. And then also on top of that, these are going to be ways that you can get business when you are in any kind of pinch. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Chris, lead the way here. What would be the first way if you were in this position, whether it be a cash flow pinch or whether you had just started your company and you have some degree of your service determined in what you're going to be delivering to these people? Where are you starting?
Yeah, Ben, thanks. So we're going to talk about a handful of things, but there is one big thing at the beginning that is very important, especially if you're a brand new business owner, brand new company. You're just starting out, and that is just the super ultra basics of having a brand. So there are parts of this that are free. You can design a logo, you can make business cards, you can make a basic website, all for a couple of bucks or next to free. All of it you can do with a basic WordPress website, a basic subscription to Canva, which, if you're not familiar with that, is just like an online graphic design suite that you can pay like 10, 15, 20 bucks a month to be a part of. And you can design anything: business cards, flyers, pamphlets, door hangers, your logo, even if you're brand new. So really, if you're brand new and you don't have the couple $100 to pay somebody to design you a logo or make you a business card, your money would be best well spent. I mean, under $100 total, you could design a logo, design a business card, order a carton of 100 business cards for 30 bucks. And that is the ultra core basics of having a brand. Because everything else we're going to talk about, as far as Facebook, as far as making connections with influencers, as far as finding contractors, property managers, GC, real estate agents, etc., that might be able to refer you business, posting in Facebook groups, posting on Nextdoor, all of those things rely on you having some semblance of a brand identity. And I'm not saying you need to go spend thousands of dollars creating a legitimate brand identity. That's something that you do when you're more established and you have the cash to do it. But the core basics of that is an identity, meaning you have a logo, you have a catchphrase, you have a business name, you have a business card, probably, ideally. Fun fact for those of you guys that are new, business cards are still a thing. There's all these weird products of like, buy our electronic business cards or RFID scan chips or whatever. But you'll find pretty quick that a lot of the people in decision making capacity that you'll run into still appreciate a paper business card. Um, you will end up texting people your contact info from your phone sometimes, sure. But you want to have some cards on hand, especially for older folks, especially for professional interactions and relationships. It's a good thing to have. Once you have that, once you have your basic brand identity, which, like I said, you can spend 3, 4, 500 bucks on this, get a nice looking basic website, get a logo designed. But at the core of it, if you even just go on Canva, spend the 20 bucks to have a subscription, make yourself a logo, design a business card that looks nice, that is the start that you need. Then, next thing you can do, everything else we're going to talk about today, 100% free. And you'll hear all the time, if you start a business and you start joining professional Facebook groups, BNI, like any of these other things that you can do to like learn about being a business owner, you will find one of the most common things people have a hard time with is finding leads. And like we talked about in our last episode, we were talking about KPIs. The core of everything else that happens in your business is having leads coming into the business. So if you want to find leads, there's some really simple ways to do that. And these will work when you're brand new, and they'll work when you're more established. And they're always free, even when you're an established company. First one is having a Facebook page. So there are community Facebook groups in almost every town in the US, and I'm sure around the world too. There are Facebook groups and pages for different areas, for different neighborhoods. And you will find there's a lot of people probably asking for whatever service you want to do in those groups. And if you have a picture of your business card or just post your name saying, hey, DM me for an estimate, that might work sometimes. But having a free Facebook page that looks professional, has that logo you designed earlier, has your business name, has some photos of your work if you have that. If you're brand new, you might not yet. Find some stock photos that are free. And that will help you have a little bit of legitimacy when you're first starting. When you're more established, obviously, you're going to start getting referrals and organic traffic to that Facebook page. And you want to make sure that that Facebook page has your phone number, an email address, and that you're actually checking your messages because people will respond. But if you go onto a community Facebook page and somebody is saying, hey, I need a good referral for somebody that cleans gutters, and you really want to clean some gutters, you make a comment on there, your wife or girlfriend makes a comment on there, your friend makes a comment on there and says, hey, I recommend XYZ company. They tag your Facebook page. Somebody clicks on it, they see it. They're going to do one of two things. They're either going to call the number. Well, I guess one of three things. Call the number, email you, or a lot of times they'll just send you a DM, but they might send it right to your page and not to the person that tagged it, even if it's you. So make sure you're checking those messages, look at it. And man, Ben, I don't know about you, but I've gotten hundreds of jobs over the years from community Facebook pages. It's probably one of the easiest free places to find work out there, especially for my service call company. I mean, when it comes to like roof and gutter cleaning, moss removal, window cleaning, those small ticket like service call type jobs, I mean, there's probably 20 of those companies in the greater area that I serve, but I still get tagged and commented and posted on those groups all the time. And when I was first starting, I would post myself in them all the time. I mean, I'm probably a part of 50 of those groups from my personal Facebook page. And those places are an awesome spot to find leads.
Yeah,
Have you had
you
pretty
can
good
get
success with that, or?
yeah. So Facebook is not so my business being a little bit more niche in sod installation and with landscaping.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of competition, and you gotta dig and grind if you want to get those leads. That being said, if you are savvy with it, and what I mean by savvy is that you don't just like I would you could go in there and you could just go ahead link the page and post your phone number. Like that's going to obviously be an effective route too. In my opinion, one of the best hacks you can do is like shoot that person a DM right away. They say they're, hey, I'm looking for a
Mm-hmm.
service. Go ahead and hop in their DM. Say like, hey, people want it to be easy. This is more of a
Yep.
sales tip and less of a marketing tip, but like go ahead and go after it. Like say, hey man, I'd love to
Yep.
help. I'm right around the corner. Like I can when would make sense for me to swing by? Or could you tell me a little bit more about what you have going on out there? And just be helpful to people. And that's gonna go a long way. And the other little thing that I would say is the Facebook page being huge, you can also do a lot of this from your personal Facebook as well. Like you can share
Yep.
stuff and you can generate some of those more natural. Like we're about to get into referral sources, so I might be cheating ahead
Yeah.
on this, but you can very much be able to do some of this stuff on your personal page and
Oh yeah.
ask some of the people that you know for referrals. Those are going to be the people that already have some degree of know, like, and trust with you, and you can just be able to generate it. There's a really fun part about all of this. And my favorite part, especially, this is more so if you're a newer person in the business, or maybe if you're a younger person in the business. And people will support you no matter what. I don't want to overemphasize anything, but what I will say is if you are younger and if you're newer in business, take advantage of it because people love to support new businesses. It makes them feel good about themselves.
Yep.
So don't be afraid to be the guy that says, hey, I'm new. I just started this business. I'm 22 years old. I'm trying to take care of my wife and family or generate a little bit of a side income, whatever it may be. And people will blow that crap up because they just like to support it.
Oh yeah.
It's a really, really easy way to get some easy leads. And again, get yourself to those first 10 clients.
Yep. Yeah, I know. One of the things that I love that Hormozy talks about, Alex Hormozy in his book, is he talks about how one of the first and easiest ways to get your first like dozen clients is the contacts that you already have in your phone. You'll hear when you talk about sales and marketing, there's really 4 or 5 types of leads, but the two big categories are warm and cold. Warm leads are people that have already shown interest. Cold are the people that you're calling some random person online and saying, hey, do you want your gutters cleaned? And those people never thought about getting their gutters cleaned. But every single person that you have in your phone, every single friend you have on Facebook, at some point connected with you and essentially gave you permission to reach out to them. There are very few people that if you reach out to them, send them a DM and you say, hey man, I'm starting a company, I'm cleaning gutters now, I would really love a chance to give you an estimate. Is that something you'd be interested in? There's a lot of people you'd be shocked will just say, oh yeah, man, totally. I clean my own gutters, but I've been really busy recently. I'd love to have you do it. How much is it? And you tell them like, oh, it's $200. And you'd be shocked at how many people will just say, okay, sure. When can you come? And that just gives you so many opportunities for new leads. I mean, if you have 500 people in your contacts in your phone, that's 500 potential jobs. I mean, don't get me wrong. The boss from your high school pizza delivery job that didn't like you to begin with probably isn't going to hire you. But a lot of people that you know might and will.
Yeah. One thing I'll add to that real quick is just simply when it comes to the actual service that you offer. Now, if you're a new business, you have a little bit more flexibility. I'm not going to look at you and say you have to niche down super, super hard right away. I mean, obviously, there's a huge amount of value in that. We'll talk about it later because it's a really important thing in business. But also, don't be afraid to, if you're a handyman or you're trying to be a general contractor, maybe do a handyman job here or there, price it fairly, price it reasonably. I'm going to get shot down for saying something like that. But I do think that there is an honest reality of like you being able to just get some general brand reputation, maybe get that first couple of Google reviews in, maybe just like show that you're a hustler and show that you're willing to do some of that hard work. Like that's actually a really admirable quality that people like, and they like to support that American dream mindset. And it's a good starting line. So again, if you're more established, stick to your niche. But if you are someone that's newer, don't be afraid to grind a little bit and make something happen that gets you some money in the door.
Well, and I'll even take that one step further, man. Like I'll get flack for saying this, but I'm a huge advocate for if you're brand new in business, like I'm talking like you created a website and started a Facebook page last week, unless you are like struggling to put food on the table or you need the money, I would honestly recommend if you can give away a couple of services and find somebody that maybe they're on the fence and you say, hey, I'm going to come clean your gutters for free. All I ask is that you leave me a 5-star review on Google. You post on your Facebook page for your neighborhood and say, hey, I just hired so-and-so to clean my gutters. They did an awesome job. Here's their phone number. Man, that $200 that you didn't make might lead to $5,000 worth of work. I mean, to give you an example of how powerful Facebook is, I took a job in a really small, wealthy neighborhood about 30 minutes from home a few months ago. And the guy was so ecstatically happy with our service. It was one of the first window cleaning jobs we'd ever done. And we're brand new. Window cleaning's a new service for us. We added it like 6 months ago. And we did this guy's house. That neighborhood has a community Facebook group for their HOA. He posted in it and was super ecstatic about our service. We have since then booked 14 other houses in that neighborhood with an average ticket of $700 to $900. So that one Facebook post he made theoretically brought us $10,000 plus in revenue. And I didn't even ask him to do it. He just at the end of the service was so happy. He was like, hey man, I'm going to make a Facebook post in the community neighborhood page. If you want to work in this area more, I'm sure my neighbors could use your help. And sure enough, man, there was so many people in that neighborhood that wanted that service done. We've done roof cleaning, window cleaning, gutter cleaning, siding cleaning, pressure washing. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows how many of those jobs are going to lead to very much recurring revenue because again, you showed up and you knocked it out of the park like you would. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've already signed 3 recurring annual agreements in that neighborhood too. So like that number is just going to keep growing. I mean, I'll be able to attribute tens of thousands of dollars to that one Facebook post in the future.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit more on, so I mean, that sort of covers referral sources. I mean, that's a really good word track to be able to earn referrals. I mean, people think, I don't know, people get really, really scared about saying that type of stuff, but like, guys, just like asking people to refer your business is not the weirdest thing in the world. That's actually a super normal thing. Just like be flirty about it. I mean, literally just be like, hey man, I'm just trying to get as much business as I possibly can, and I want to do a really good job. Like, would you be open to like, would you be? I like to ask a no question. So, would you be opposed to throwing my name around in the neighborhood group and
Hmm.
I don't know, I'll throw you a bone if you like you could offer him a little bit of a gift card or something like that. You don't even have to go that
Yeah.
far with it. Like you could just say like, "Hey, would you be open to doing this and we'll knock this job out of the park for you." Like those are the types of
Yeah.
things that if you're joking about it, if you're kind of charming about it, people are so happy to do that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
So anyways,
Man,
what is go ahead.
I was going to say that reminds me of one of my favorite word tracks I've heard recently, which is if you're talking to a friend or family member, trying to get those first like 10 jobs, like I was saying, calling those people in your phone. There's a word track of like once somebody likes you and buys into your service, you say, "Hey, do you know 3 people that you like that you think would want to work with me?" And if they say no, your next question is, "Well, do you know 3 people that you don't like that you might want to refer to us?" And it
I
just it
love it.
just diffuses the situation, breaks the ice. Like it's such a great sales word track because it just makes people laugh instead of feeling awkward about it.
Oh yeah. All the time.
um,
What are influencers? Tell me about more about that.
Yeah, so I put those in the same category on our kind of list for today. In my mind, the difference between a referral source and an influencer is a referral source is usually somebody who has used your service and appreciates what you've done, and they refer you to their friends, family, coworkers, whatever. In my mind, an influencer is a person in your community or your area that knows a lot of people that might want to hire you. Great example is also on this list are things like property managers and real estate agents and GCs. And really, we're going to talk more about those specifically, but those people are influencers. If you're a company that cleans windows, it makes sense that if you know the top real estate agent in your town that sells houses, they're selling 40, 50, 60 houses a year. And every one of those houses has to be cleaned and prepped for the market. So, I mean, I guarantee you, whatever maid service that real estate agent likes is getting a lot of business from them. I guarantee you that if you're a pressure washing company, same thing. If you are a gutter cleaning, roof cleaning company, same thing. And somebody like you, if you're doing sod installation, I imagine knowing the builders in your area that are building these track home developments but not putting lawns in the yard, if one of those guys would leave your card with every final contract for those homes being built, a lot of those people would call you after they move into their house and they're like, "Wow, I love this beautiful house, but I have no lawn. I have a dirt pile in my backyard." So
Yep.
knowing those people that are in those positions to refer you clients is influencers. And how you can take advantage of that is any number of things. It might look as simple as just sending them an email. I make it a habit. I have a huge number of real estate agents on my client list, and I send them an email every 3, 6, 9 months just saying, "Hey, just want to check in with you. Appreciate the business. If you have any new agents that haven't met us yet, I'd love to buy them a coffee and talk to them." I also go to things like real estate agent networking dinners and things like that. And if you can get in front of those influencers, when you're more established, it's easier. But when you're brand new, it might look as simple as if you're in a small town and there's a real estate office, bring a box of donuts in and schmooze the secretary and say, "Hey, I'm new in town. I'm doing this service. Is there any way that I could talk to the manager or some of the agents about what we offer to see if they could use us?" And you'd be shocked. I mean, I've heard stories just that are crazy. Like I know Tom Reber with Contractor Fight talks about how when he was starting his painting company, he really wanted the painting contract for this one big general contractor. And he went in and brought them donuts like once a week for months and would leave his business card on their project manager's truck handle. Like he tried forever. And they had an established painter that they liked. But at one point, after a couple of months of being in front of them, they didn't like something their painter did, and suddenly he got a phone call saying, "Hey, do you want our contract?" And that was a long game type of play, but that can be something that happens super quick too. I mean, how many times like could you walk into an office, get a no, but that one person that says yes, all of a sudden now you have 5 jobs on the books. You walk into a property management office, that property manager has a dozen properties and you're pressure washing and all of them need pressure washing. That one yes after that list of no's might be the one that books out your calendar for 2 weeks. But yeah, I mean, any of those people are influencers to me. I feel like that's one of the easiest and simplest ways besides Facebook to get those first 10 clients. I mean, if you make 10 phone calls, you might not get 10 clients, but the one influencer that actually connects with you and likes you and wants to give you a chance, that one yes might lead to 10 jobs, even though you just talked to 10 people and they all said no. And that's something we'll talk about in a different episode of like the introduction and sales type stuff. But I feel like one of the simplest things to mention in this episode is that don't be afraid to call people and get a no, because every no is just an opportunity to call somebody else. It doesn't mean that you're going to fail if the first 5 people you call say no, because all it takes is one yes.
Yeah, it's really important to be able to look at this we talked about KPIs last episode and on a measurable scale. It's really important to realize that these things, most of the time, people quit either right before they get their yes or way before they feel like they actually before they really needed to. Because what it looks like sometimes influencers, you might have to reach out to 50 to 100 people. Sometimes it might be based upon the scale of what it is that you're doing. You might need to do a lot more than that. But you're going to be able to get yeses. Like you are going to get yeses. That should be a surefire guarantee, is that you will get yeses. It might require some fine tuning. There might be learning lessons that you have along the way that make you better at this, because inevitably you are going to get better at this, where you're going to have to touch less people to be able to get more yeses. However, the more people you reach, the more opportunity you are going to create for yourself. Do not be the person that stops after 20 reach outs. Like, if you hustle and you grind with this and you're willing to sit there and just crank out some of this stuff, you are going to get opportunities. I can't emphasize that enough on my end. Like, you have to be able to be willing to sit there and make the cold outreach touches, and touches will ultimately lead to conversions. It's just math. Eventually it's going to happen.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the hardest things. I mean, the classic example of that is door knocking. I mean, I didn't really even plan on talking about this in this episode, but there is so much business to be had just by knocking doors. But the reality is that you're going to knock on 20 doors and get a no, or they're going to tell you to get the heck off their porch before you get one customer that gives you a shot. So that's why I think that these other things like Facebook and social media and finding influencers is probably going to be better for most folks. But if you're washing windows, man, I know guys that make millions washing windows just by knocking on doors. Them and a team of 3 guys just blanket a neighborhood, and they knock until somebody says yes, and then they all converge, clean that house, and start again. And I know guys that do that and make crazy amounts of money. Crazy money. Yeah, and I mean, I guess the one other thing I wanted to talk about as far as this list is we've briefly mentioned contractors, GCs, property managers, and agents. And I just want to briefly kind of talk about each one. So other contractors and GCs, depending on what trade or what service that you're trying to offer, if you're offering a service that you can sell directly to homeowners, like let's say, example, you want to do drywall, you want to be a drywall guy, or you want to paint, you want to be a painter. Either one of those things you can sell directly to homeowners, or you can subcontract. And even if you don't want to be a subcontractor where all you're doing is big developments for GCs, when you're first getting started, it is remarkable how much business you can get just by looking up the different home builders, general contractors in your area, calling them up and say, hey, I'm a new painting company. I've got 3 years of experience. I was working for so-and-so. I just started my own business. Would you give me a shot and give me some work? And they might not just immediately write you a check for a huge contract, but they might say like, yeah, we got this one job that our other painter can't get to because they're off at this other job. You want to handle this for us? It's a $2,500 job. And if you knock it out of the park and you do well, it'll almost always lead to more. Same with real estate agents and property managers. Every property manager on the planet has a massive list of vendors that they are using for contractors. And those people almost always are well established. But if you can beat their price and you do a good job, you can almost always get your foot in the door. Property managers are usually price motivated. They're going to get 10 bids and pick a cheaper one. But when you're first getting started and you're willing to take a little bit less in order to get some business and get some experience in the door, they can be a great source, especially until you're established and have your own brand and people start calling you directly. You're always going to make more selling directly to a homeowner than a property management company. But when you're first getting started, man, there's so much business in that world. It's just not always the best paying.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and obviously, yeah, well, there's a point in time when pricing becomes a much more
Hmm.
important factor, because
Yeah.
obviously your overhead is going to increase. You're going to have to hire people, but a lot of people, they're literally their overhead is them. Like they get to make as much
Yep.
money as they make based upon the number of hours that they put in. So you can be
Yeah.
super free will with your pricing. Like that, I wish I had done more of that when I first started my company. Like I wish I had
Yep.
understood some of those elements because again, pricing is really important. I don't want you to go out there and just be stupid with this. Like, please don't go out there and just do jobs that like you make
Yeah.
absolutely nothing on unless you can actually afford to do that. Like, don't dig a hole for yourself. Don't get
Yeah.
yourself in a relationship with someone that's going to, like a GC. Sometimes you can get in sticky situations where you get locked into some
Hmm.
type of contract and it's not the best type of contract. So be mindful, of course. But this is kind of like what you hear, and you'll hear maybe this is my brand, maybe it's speaking, but you're going to hear me say this a lot of just like being able to make sure that you're careful in how you approach things. Don't dig holes that you can't
Yeah.
get out of, especially early. However, there's so much that you can do more freely without having to feel like super hyper restricted by all these rules and things that you're like not supposed to technically do in business. And again, that this is where like people might raise red flags at some of the stuff that we're saying, but at the end of the day, like we're talking about being able to get nice initial opportunities and initial business right off the get-go, and it makes a massive difference when you can just start to be able to build something of a brand reputation, uh, for you to be able to maybe get what your first 5, 10 star reviews, maybe get a couple, ask a person
Hmm.
to do a video testimonial and give them $200 off their service or something like that. The amount of
Yep.
people that are going to do that without hesitation are going to be so
Hmm.
about it. And
Yep.
then when you're done with the project, that's when you can start getting nifty with it and creative. You can start doing things like, let me take a picture of me with the client. We're both smiling. We're both happy. It shows me as like this young guy who's motivated, who's excited, who's happy about the service that he's doing. And there is so much just mess that you can get into in your head when you're thinking about this type of stuff. At the end of the day, again, people do really enjoy it to be able to see young people, new businesses wanting to support their family, wanting to do good, healthy things. And this is such a great way to be able to do it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
100%.
Chris, let me ask you this. One of the questions that we wrote down here was, "What are the most common obstacles?" And I guess how I would phrase that question on my end would be like, "What are the things that most commonly people are going to run into that would prevent them from doing the above 5 things successfully?"
Yeah. So I would say there's a couple of them that I come to mind right away that are big. So the first one is we talked about don't be the guy that quits after the first 5, 10 outreaches, and I would say that's the number one. Um, One of my favorite quotes in the world is the only person that is responsible for where you currently are and what your life currently looks like is you. And I think that applies to everything, but in this situation, I think it's very like simple to see how it applies that if your business isn't getting leads in the door, knowing full well, knowing full well that you can do all these things for free, then it was 100% on you.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's guys, this stuff is it is hard. Like we're not trying to shy away from the fact that this stuff is hard, but at the same time, it's not complicated. It's hard, but it's not complicated. It's simple
Yeah.
if you just do it.
Yep.
But most of the time, again, people don't do it. Like people would rather go broke. I heard it said. I mean, what's the quote that goes along with that? It's the you need to get to a point where the pain of not doing something is greater than the pain of doing something, because then you can finally be able to make that decision that allows you to take this step forward and actually grind and make this happen. So knocking on doors, most people, like, they're literally just not going to do it. I mean, gosh, if I was a fence contractor, I would be going to every single brand new development neighborhood and pounding on those doors and saying, "Hey man, I'm in the neighborhood, we want to put some fences up, we can get out here next week, get started, and like get this thing rolling, and we'll give you a great rate for it," and like just start. And oh man, I there would be so much opportunity for you if you could just be able to go out there and get it. Knocking doors, posting on Facebook, not being afraid of what your family or friends are going to say because you're posting on Facebook about this new business venture that you're saying, and just doing it. Like, guys, what's the worst case? You're going to fail. You're going to fall flat on your face. You might have to pick up some of the scraps along the way. Like that happens for everybody. It's just like, do you want to have it happen as a result of you not doing anything, or would you rather it happen as a result of you actually attempting to do something?
Yeah, man. I think that one of the other things I like to mention about this topic is Man, if people only realized how easy this is, I think it'd be a lot more people doing it. And I think that one of the other things that is kind of crazy to think about is if you're a business owner and you take that leap to take the chance to do this and be self-employed, what's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is everybody else is normal. The best case scenario is you are happily self-employed, making an absolute ton of money. The worst case scenario is it fails, falls flat on its face, and you go back to working a 9 to 5 job, which is everybody else's normal. I mean, crazy to think about that, right?
Yeah.
Totally crazy.
Our first podcast guest is making an appearance at the present moment. Say hi, Summer.
Hey, Summer.
This is my daughter, Summer. She loves to come sit with me at my desk. Anyways,
yeah,
I feel like that covers a ton of what we really wanted to get into, guys. Like, again, this is the kind of stuff, not only is this going to get you 10 paying clients, like this is also going to get you 10 paying clients that will lead to 20 paying clients that will lead to 40 paying clients and will exponentially grow through those referrals, through that good reputation development, and just being a good, solid contractor. So take action. Let us know if you have questions. We're going to get into another podcast talking a little bit more about scripts and sales and the really awesome ways that you can be able to make the most of these opportunities and increase that rate of success. But right now, these are really just the tactical ways that you can get started on this trip. So anyways, if you guys have questions, reach out to Chris or I. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on our school group, New to the Game. And we cannot wait to hear from you guys.
Yep. Can't wait to hear from you guys. The school group and the Facebook page and everything else will be linked in the show notes if you're following us on Apple and Spotify. And if you're looking at this on school or on Facebook, then obviously you've already found us. So thanks, everybody.